Today we celebrate United Way's third Family Center. So we celebrate children and families, good to see you, children and families who will grow and thrive here. And we celebrate the trust, the support, and leadership of all, and I mean all, who made this dream a reality. But more than a dream realized, this Family Center is a necessity for Howard County. And United Way has always, as many of you know, provided what's needed where it's needed. Driving through Columbia to get here this morning, passing gleaming office parks and suburban residential communities and wide open green spaces, you might not know that there are people living here in Howard County who struggle every single day to get by. I'm talking about people who are working hard and too often falling short to provide just the very basics for their family. Food on the table, place to call home, car to get to work, to the grocery store, the care they need, not if, but when they fall ill. I'm talking about ALICE, an acronym United Way uses for those who are asset limited, income constrained, but they are employed. Folks for whom one missed paycheck or even a few hours of lost work could spell financial crisis for that family. Our ALICE reports show that right here in Howard County, which has a reputation for being a wealthy area, not only in Maryland but throughout the country, almost a third of working households can't make ends meet, right? Nearly all of these are families with children and Black and Hispanic households bearing the brunt of financial hardship. So for many of them, especially women, childcare is a necessity for being able to work. But the cost is out of reach. In fact, it's higher than average here compared to other counties in our state. And affordable childcare centers right close to where they live and work. The bottom line is, folks, they're scarce. They're just not available. So together with our partners, and I see so many of you here today, we're working hard for these hard-working families. And this new Family Center, which we're so excited about, co-created by local government, nonprofits, community organizations, and businesses, is continuing proof of our efforts. So it will be really incumbent upon me to state that it will provide reduced costs for ALICE families. This is probably a hand clap moment. Yeah. And unlike many facilities in the area, Calvin Ball, accept state child care vouchers. It offers free services like housing, thank you, housing and food assistance, job readiness classes, mental health support, not only for enrolled families, but for area residents as well. So as I mentioned, this is our third such center in the region. Our others are located in Baltimore City. All our family centers provide high quality child care and early childhood education. So research shows that children who have access to the educational programming like we provide are much better prepared for school and, more importantly, for life. They're more skilled, better educated, have better employment opportunities, and more stable lives and families. All the data supports it. Outcomes like these are game-changing and save our local and national governments money in the long run. We're upping our game with our new United for Childcare initiative, which you'll hear more about in the coming months. This innovative, multi-pronged strategy will expand both equity and access to early childhood education and bolster our economy with new jobs and childcare sites. Clearly, investing in childcare is an investment not only in young lives, but in our local economy and in our future. So you are all here today because, like United Way, you are invested in this future of equity, opportunity, and access for everyone throughout our region.
This Family Center is a culmination of years of hard work by a group of committed leaders working to make our community better for all. The United Way has done a great job of focusing attention on the needs of individuals and parents who are here in Howard County striving for better lives for themselves and their families. Your organization has developed, of course, the concept of ALICE, which you talked about, and the cost of childcare is often out of reach for far too many families in Howard County and beyond, and families are often placed in the difficult position of choosing between a job and childcare, their career and their future, or investing in their children. And while many of us turn to relatives and neighbors to help, there is a role for many of us to continue to step up, to do more, so that our neighbors can be more. Particularly over the last 2 years, the COVID pandemic has exposed many gaps in our services to our families, and this center will go a long way in filling that gap. And it's so wonderful to see so many of our corporate and nonprofit partners come together as a community to address this challenge and invest in better todays and tomorrows. You are making a true investment in our workforce and helping to meet the needs that are so fundamental for many families and generations. We want all of our children to be able to be ready and successful, and we want them to start off on the best foot possible. The United Way and our corporate community are tremendous partners when it comes to helping to meet the neediest among us. And we know that the public sector also needs to continue to step up to help our families. And that's why, in this year's budget, we provided more than $12 million for our community service partnership grants. That's more than a 10% increase in just last year. And we expanded support to 19 additional nonprofits, focusing assistance on specific vulnerable, underrepresented, and at-risk populations that have been hardest hit by our pandemic. We added 150 new special education teachers just this year alone. Y'all doing a good job, Franklin. You warmed them up right. And we're investing in pre-K and early childhood education, as well as providing the largest funding increase for our plan to end homelessness in more than 5 years. This additional support will allow expansion to outreach and address our sheltering operations for homeless individuals. And earlier this year, I also announced funding that will be in our county's Department of Community Resources and Services for the county's first family support center, which will complement the work of the United Way here today. These investments we make now will have a positive impact on our children for the remainder of their years and help them live their very best lives. And I am just so glad to have so many partners such as Franklin, and I'm not going to get into the long list, but I do want to just acknowledge 3 more people. Senator Gazoni. Senator Gazoni is the chair of Budget and Tax, and so whenever there has been a money need from the state, he's always picked up his phone, done what he could, and particularly when it was those families who often sometimes feel invisible, Guy has been a partner in making them feel invincible. So Senator Gazoni. Council Member Rigby, I have to acknowledge her because the council actually approves my budget. So all of the good things that I did, thank her. And then as I transition the microphone, none of the good work that I do as a county executive could be done without a fantastic team. I work to hire people who are smarter than me and then get out of their way. And one of the most talented, dedicated, intelligent individuals that we are blessed to have in county government is the leader of one of our largest departments in our department that does so much for our families in need, Director Jackie Scott. Come on up.
Thank you, Dr. Ball, and thank you for your leadership and your commitment and dedication to us as a department, but even bigger, to our community, and your willingness to always go the extra mile to do whatever we need to do to make sure people are safe, healthy, and cared for. We couldn't do it without you. And thank you for all of you in this room, despite the weather. And I think of it as a gift, right? Because it is the rain that is coming down to water the seeds of love, care, and dedication that went into that building over there, and the seeds of success that have been planted and are now being watered so that it will grow, because the demand and the need is there. And we know that the rain is just a sign that it is just fostering the growth and honoring the dedication of those who put in the blood, sweat, and tears to make sure this was happening. So I stand here before you very humbled and proud and excited to be in and next to that beautiful space over there. As one of the first partners, in this initiative, I remember sitting at the table with a small group of people thinking about this just as an idea, just as a vision. And we were all sort of channeling Jim Rouse, right? Thinking, how do we get there? But always knowing, yes, it can happen here. And that's the proof. It's happening here. I cannot tell you how many calls every day our Office of Children and Families gets from families desperately seeking affordable, quality, accessible, and safe care for their children. There is a tremendous need. To have a place like this to partner with and to provide a warm handoff to for our families who are struggling very honestly to balance the demands of maintaining employment, staying safely housed, and feeding their families is huge and hugely needed and appreciated. Places like this family center will help DCRS meet their goal of reducing the stress and the strain on our families who are struggling, as we just heard, just to make ends meet. And as I close, I think it is so critically important to recognize and acknowledge that none of this would have been possible if not for a deep commitment and collaboration through critical partnerships. Our steering committee, our county executive, and so many of you in this room set a table where we could make this happen. Thank you to the United Way, under your leadership, Franklin, and to your deeply committed and tenacious and talented team for making all of this come to fruition. And for most of all, for your commitment to listening, because you listen to the needs of our community. You've done this successfully in other jurisdictions, and you could have just come in with a roadmap and just gone to work. But you did not. You recognized and appreciated the needs, the uniqueness of Howard County, and you successfully pulled together a group because you understood and you wanted to foster a strategic, productive, and collaborative environment for which partners like myself and those in the room could develop and co-create the goals and the vision for what will happen in that building. And that's no small feat, and I thank you for that. We are so excited that you are here. We are so excited for the future, and we look forward to the positive impact that this center will have in nurturing, growing, and developing our most precious resource, our children. Thank you.
I wanted to read something I thought you all would appreciate. We have powers on high that have also decided to appreciate this as well. So I'm reading you a citation from none other than President of the United States, Joe Biden. I send my warmest greetings to all those gathered for United Way of Central Maryland's ribbon-cutting ceremony and offer my congratulations on opening of your new family center. The tireless work of civil society and organizations like yours is a daily reminder of how, here in America, we see one another, we hear one another, and we strive to take care of one another. Our country faces many challenges, but with your work and our uniquely American outlook, restless, bold, and optimistic, there's nothing that we cannot accomplish. As you celebrate today, may you be filled with pride in all the progress you have achieved, and may you continue to embody our nation's spirit of service. President Joe Biden.
It's great to be with you today. It was very appropriate at the beginning that Franklin asked us to pause for a kind of moment of silence, recognizing those who've been victimized in recent days by this natural disaster that hit us. And the reason is that the United Way across the country, certainly here in this region, is an organization that always kind of steps in and helps us when we kind of slip and fall, but also is an organization that builds a foundation over time so that we're not as likely to slip and fall. And in both of those ways is lifting us up as a people and a society every single day. This family center is an example of that. I had the privilege about 25 years ago of working with the then state superintendent of schools here in Maryland, Nancy Grasmick, who was very, very passionate about making investment in child care, early childhood development, Head Start, and so forth. She did that not just based on her heart, but based on her head, and research, including, for example, a report that came out of the Minnesota Federal Reserve that showed that every dollar you invest in child care, early childhood education, you get $7, $8, $9, $10 back because you don't have to make up for deficits along the way. And so it is a very, very important investment economically in terms of our young people. It is also a critical investment, as was mentioned, in terms of workforce and our economy broadly, because when you invest in child care, you make it more possible for parents to step into the workforce and do that with confidence. So this beautiful building, this center here, is an example of stepping up and strengthening our economy across the board. And you know, it's one thing as a parent, when you say goodbye to your child in the morning, you want to, at a minimum, feel comfortable that you're leaving them in good care. We know that parents, when they say goodbye to their children in the morning here, are going to feel happy about the experience that they're going to have and how they'll be lifted up. So congratulations on this wonderful announcement today.
Social and economic justice are important everywhere. In Howard County, when we have a relative wealth that is stronger than other regions, if we can't do it here, if we can't prove it here, if we can't stand up here, where is it going to be done? And very quickly, I came here, Delegate Feldmark actually encouraged me and brought me here less than a year ago and brought me through the building. And when I saw, what I heard about the holistic view of how to help children, how to help families, this is it. This is what we're about. I'm so grateful to all of you, everyone who's been involved in any part of this, to the county executive who's an extraordinary leader on these issues. Congratulations, congratulations on behalf of the delegation. We're happy to be here and happy to support this effort.
Really briefly, my name is Jonlyn Hardy Yancey. My family and I are longtime Howard County residents. I think it's important that I give you a little bit of background so you understand how I arrived at this point. About 18 months ago now, my husband and I were very excited, our nephew and his girlfriend, to child. Hey, we're great on it and great uncles again. Within 30 days of his birth, he was born a little early, we got a call late on a Tuesday evening, and the state said, tomorrow at 1 o'clock, either you can be here or we'll be here. So due to many of the reasons Mr. Spaker spoke about early, his parents struggled with addiction, domestic violence, poor housing, low income, scenarios where they could not care for him. So at 8:45, I asked the people at Target, please don't shut the doors on me, got a car seat, and Wednesday morning we had a baby. Within that year, although his parents tried very, very hard to get themselves out of the circumstances they were in, they were unable to. Therefore, my husband and I are now the parents of Julius for the next 18 years. Thank you. That is my baby. As parents of adult children, with the youngest being a senior at Howard University, we had no clue what to do with an infant. We did not have a lot of insight into the mother's prenatal care or her familiar history, because again, you just don't know these things. What do I do? I work full time. What does he need? How do we find out if there's a developmental delays or any of those things? So we spent a lot of time just with questions. I'll be honest, there were no resources typically in kinship care, because that's how they looked at us. Like, he's yours, and I'm waiting for somebody to follow up and tell me where to go or how to do that. I was referred to the Howard County Social Services over here on Little Patuxent, and I'm just fishing for, anything. We can do it, but we can't do it. But we will do it, so you just don't know. And the irony of it is there's a big, beautiful billboard in that social services center, and there's like kind of a streaming message. And every fear that I listed earlier, everything where I said, I don't know what to do, or I don't know where to go, or what research to consider, was streaming across that page. All the way at the bottom it said, coming to Columbia, United Way Family Center. And I said, you've got to be kidding me. And I jotted it down, and I had been fearful. We had him for some time, and I still, was expecting somebody to reach out to me, and that wasn't happening. But I took a chance, and I sent an email, and I landed on the wonderful Miss Sharon. And I have to say, over the last several weeks, and it's probably been a few months now, just the ongoing communication from the staff here, even from a center that's not open. Just the coordination when we kind of knew that this is the direction that we were going in, and I was going to wait. I was going to wait, trust me. We've considered some centers, and I was ready for them to go, and I'm sure my boss is tired of hearing them screaming behind conference calls. But I was going to wait. He receives other services from the state of Maryland, and I put a lot of trust in kind of Howard County Infants and Children's Program. He received some things from the Maryland Department of Education. So when I told them about this center, they were immediately excited, because I'm assuming that I see they're one of the sponsors, and there's a relationship there. And they were immediately able to kind of jump in and start to have conversations and say, here's how we can work with them. Here's how we can coordinate. And I'm like, but they're not open yet. And we got it. You keep on giving us the information. And I'll tell you, over the last 30 to 60 days, even in a center that is not open, the things that have been deposited into him, and knowing my nephew and knowing his girlfriend and knowing those circumstances, to watch Julius flourish on a promise of what he's going to go to, because he hasn't stepped. Today's his first day stepping in the door here, but to watch him flourish on a promise, to watch what I know about the United Way as someone who's a corporate sponsor with my own employer, and who's been a sponsor with my parents' employers, as my mother also worked for early childhood education in the state of Pennsylvania, is a help that people could not imagine.
We all wish the best for our children, right? Especially those who start from a place of challenge, those who start from a place where it's not ideal, right? But thank you to all of you who are part of this movement to help those who are struggling, so that literally they can go to the next level in their life and have what's in store for them. So now I just wanted to, most of you know that United Way is known for its cutting edge work and also for its wonderful programs. So embracing this spirit of innovation, we didn't want to settle for your traditional ribbon cutting. Doesn't that sound like United Way? We're going to officially mark this opening in a very special way, and I'd like to invite some folks up here to officially mark this opening without giant scissors. So all those who are dignitaries on the first couple of rows, please come up with me up here. Let's celebrate the United Way Family Center opening by a wonderful flick of the wrist on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Woo! Yes, 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 yes.